Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dbacks Dispatch here, talking another sweep, back-to-back sweeps against teams that we should be sweeping. So, everyone, thanks for joining us here on Dbacks Dispatch. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. That way you don't miss any of our future content. Follow us on Twitter at Dbacks Dispatch, and check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, if you want just a one-stop shop, we have a link tree now. You literally go click on that link in the description of the YouTube video. It literally gives you the links to everything we have. So shout out to our producer extraordinaire, Josh, for creating that. It's literally a one-stop shop. So if you're having trouble finding us anywhere, go there, and it literally has all of our major socials. So just going to shout out there. Shout out to Bubba here in the chat. Mr. Rod here on X. Thanks for joining us, everyone. So we're talking a sweep here against the Boston Red Sox here. The series was something. There were points in this series where I'm like, this is the team that we've known the last 2 months. And then there were certain points I'm like, this is the team that we knew in the first 2.5 months of the season, where offense just would not show up. We got some news before game one. I'm surprised they made this decision. Jordan Montgomery had officially been moved to the bullpen. He is out of the rotation. I am so glad that they made the right decision, which, like, I figured they would based on what they've done the last 2 years, where they are willing to either move on from guys or move them into positions that you wouldn't think that they would do. And they realize they're in a very good spot right now. They cannot sacrifice games because of the guy makes $25-30 million. And Ryan Nelson rewarded them yet again for making that smart decision. Ryan Nelson was shoved yet again. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned, 7 Ks on 96 pitches. His numbers, though, since he made that change in his delivery that Gabe pointed out on June 26th against the Minnesota Twins, his next outing, I can't say start because he didn't start against the Dodgers there, but his next outing, he was the long man. He went 5 innings. Since then, 10 games. He's 4-0 with a 2.76 ERA and 63rd and a third with 62 Ks, only 12 walks. Opponents have a 602 OPS against him. Like, this boggles my mind that a simple, and this is the second time we've seen this in 2 seasons, just a small mechanical adjustment makes a world of difference. We saw it with Fott last year when they moved him to the first base side of the rubber. The rest is history. Like, since then, Fott has been one of the best young pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. Like, his wins and losses don't reflect it, but if you just look at his overall course of those numbers, like, it's like he's been so consistent. And Ryan Nelson did it again. Like, he struggled in the first a little bit, but outside of that, he was amazing. So Gabe Nelson rewarded Torrey and Mike Hazen and them with making the right decision by doing another quality start. What do you think his ceiling is now that he knows, okay, I have a solid spot in the rotation. I don't have to worry about them sending me out to the pen. What do you think his ceiling is?
I guess it would be kind of what this start was. This is probably what he's going to end up being, at least for the foreseeable future. A guy who's going to give you 6 innings and 2 earned runs or even 3 earned runs, because we know he can and has given them a lot more than that. But the issue is, the league is going to adjust at some point. They're going to figure something out on him. Maybe, try to target a specific pitch of his. As of right now, just everything is working off of that fastball, so it doesn't even matter what they if they're looking for a fastball, it doesn't even matter. 'Cause you just gonna throw it outside of the zone and then dominate them that way. And yeah, so I think that's basically what it is. I don't see why he couldn't be even better than that, just because he does have elite velocity and movement on that fastball, just because of how much it rises. And that's why we talked about him maybe moving to the bullpen just because of how dominant the fastball is. So I can't see him become even better than that, being a number 2, where you're probably gonna lose Kelly and Gallen at the end of next year, and if he pitches like this and Pott is looking the way he's looking, then I wouldn't feel too bad that our 1 and 2 guys are Ryan Nelson and Brandon Pfaadt.
To me, that feels crazy to say after the way Fott looked the first 2 months that we would be content with Ryan as our number 2. Right now, I completely agree with it. Like, him and Fott have been our most consistent starters the last 2 months. Like, what they're able to do is just shut down so many teams. And the fact is, he's averaging about 1 strikeout an inning. You can't ask for anything more than that. If you can, and it's that fastball. Like, that fastball is dominant. His cutter has looked a lot better too, and I think he's gotten more confident with it. And I think that's what makes his four seam so much better. They don't know which one he's going to come with, that four seamer or that cutter. Like, they're both fastballs, but one just moves a little bit more. So, Brett, like, are you kind of on the same page that this start is kind of his ceiling, and if we can get this consistently, is even better?
I don't. So, we will fully admit we have definitely been wrong this year, fully on, especially after the first month or so, on Ryan and Gino. So I don't want to fully say that this is like his ceiling. I think that this could be maybe not the ceiling, obviously maybe not the base, but I think this could be somewhat of what the norm is, or what we could kind of expect to see out of Ryan, because it's been 2 months now. Like I said, 10 games, really impressive stretch. The fact that he's got a 2.76 ERA over that, and the strikeout to walk ratio, like 5 strikeouts per every walk, I believe is what I had on Fangraphs. Forgot to put it in here, but
yeah.
And then the 2.69 FIP. So it's showing that he's even better than what his ERA kind of leads to, which for me, that's, again, I don't want to say that this is just a ceiling. I truly think he could potentially be even better than what we're seeing now. Obviously, we talked about early in the season about, maybe he needs to worry about developing a secondary pitch and a strikeout pitch. I think it's just he's finally got control of his fastball, and he can actually locate it where he needs to. Like, it's more on the edges than like him just trying to throw it right down the middle past guys. It's that one to, I think that's Ref Snyder, or Jensen. On the highlight right there, like he's keeping it out of the zone. He's like keeping it in good spots to where if he can keep the fastball location right there, he doesn't need to have a crazy wipeout like cutter. Like, his cutter's still really good, but he doesn't need to have a crazy slider or changeup like we were hoping for him. But if he could be at this level and add an extra like pitch, that's like, I don't want to say this is his full ceiling, but I think he does have a few more ticks he possibly could go to make him even more, of not, I wouldn't say an elite arm, but more of a really solid number 3 starter or better. And if that's the case, then with Fott and Nelson, and then obviously Hazen for trading for Gallen, I think the tides could be starting to turn on, even I've said it myself before, the narrative of the D-backs not being able to develop starting pitching. Because what we've seen out of Ryan, what we've seen from Fott, I don't think that it's the ceiling at all. I think there's still room to improve, but I don't think it's like miles of room to improve is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, like, if we could get this on a consistent basis, because that's the one thing with Ryan that I think we were struggling with, is he would do this for like one start, and then he'd come home, and like, him at home before this 2-month stretch was not good. It was definitely a major struggle. So if he can, and I think he's figured it. Like, I truly feel we've seen enough of him pitching well, like 10 starts. Like, this is not just a little thing. Like, this might be who he is. And if only we had realized that last October, who knows what would have happened in Game 4
I'd be
against the
curious,
Rage.
honestly, if like what happens when he has his first true like blow up start. I'd be curious to see what if he makes any improvements or he just runs the same course and just focuses on what he's been doing and just chalks it up to them being better than him that day. Because as of right now, I think the worst start he's had was 5 innings and 4 runs or something like that, right? Against like Minnesota or something like. Not Minnesota.
I'll look
That
it
was
right
a
now.
bad
I
start.
got you.
But I think his worst start since this run that he's been has been like 5 innings and 4 runs, I believe. Which we'll get to it once we talk about Kelly. Like 6 innings, 4 runs. That still gives his team a chance to win because the model for this team has been 5 runs, score 5 runs, and then you can start adding from there. But the point is, you're going to win a lot of games if you score 5 runs. And Kelly was able to give him 4, and just Nelson was able to dominate this team. Just 7 strikeouts. Like that's one of the main numbers that pops out to me. It's just the 6 innings, 7 strikeouts. Like you have guys around this league who just throw heat and get strikeouts after strikeouts, and then they only go 5 innings. And Nelson during the stretch has gone consistently 6, 7 innings while also having anywhere from 7, 8 to 10 strikeouts, and Strider could never.
So Rod, I'm gonna address this right here. I don't know why they said this on the broadcast. It is not a closer by committee. It is Justin Martinez. Like,
At least it has been in that way, the way that games have been boiling down. The ninth inning guy has been Justin Martinez. Torrey won't admit it. Torrey won't say that he's a closer,
no,
but he
Because
has been the closer for the last 2 weeks.
it's a mindset. I think they want to slowly build him because sometimes he loses his composure. Justin Martinez does. Like they tried Ryan Thompson for like three times and it didn't work out. And Justin Martinez has done it probably the last 2 weeks. And for the most part, it's worked out well. He's not going to come out and say Justin Martinez is our quote unquote closer, but he's the guy in the ninth inning. Like that's what it's going to be. And as he should be, he has the best stuff in the bullpen for a closer. He has a dominant fastball at 102, a ridiculous slider, and then there's his best pitch, which is his splitter, which he didn't even throw last year. That's what boggles my mind with Justin Martinez. He didn't throw the slider till this offseason when he worked with Fernando Rodney, and it is his best pitch. It is without a doubt his best pitch. So
I will fight you on not fight you, maybe disagree. I don't know if you've seen his splitter. Like when he brings out that splitter, like me and
that's what I was saying. His splitter is his best pitch.
I thought you said his slider is his
No.
best pitch.
Oh, I may have said slider, but I meant splitter. His splitter straight nap. His splitter is disgusting.
We'll get to it obviously, in game 3, but even in today's game, that last batter, I think it was Wong.
Last pitch, yeah.
The way he was sequencing him, because even before that, the way he set that up, it was a fastball high up and out of the zone, kind of similar to what we saw with Gallen and Freddie Freeman last year, to where that fastball up and out of the zone followed by the curveball down the middle. You might see that and be like, why do you swing at that? That's not a hittable pitch. Or like, why wouldn't you swing at that? It's the tunneling, like that pitch up there followed by that splitter. Like even in slow mo, it looks borderline like a knuckleball at times. But he's throwing it 90 miles an hour. I don't know how he does it. It's genuinely disgusting. But that'll be obviously later in the thing.
Yeah, Justin Martinez. Like I think, and you kind of brought it up. Some guys' sequences of pitches make their stuff look better than it actually is. I think that is a underappreciated thing that people don't think about because it's not something that you can find on Fangraphs. Is a guy sequencing. You only find that out when you physically watch the game. Like sequencing of pitches makes a matter of difference, especially when you can, like you said, change the eye level. Start high with a fastball. Throw a slider on the outside. You're up 0-2. That splitter just drops off the tape. Like yes. Rod, completely agree. Justin Martinez in October is going to be huge. The thing with his four-seamer, he could throw that every pitch. Like it's that good at 102. And if he misses, It's fine. It's 102. It's not when Seawald misses at 89 and it's a meatball. Like,
Meatball
that's like I'm fine when Justin misses in location or Kevin Ginkel misses in location. Their fastballs are 90. Like, I think Ginkel tops out at like 97. So it's fine if he misses. It's fast. When Seawald misses, it's a 89 in the middle of the plate. So, so shout out to our resident Paven Smith stan, Ethan. Yes, we did see Paven. I think Paven had 2 hits today, so Paven was very beneficial and helped out the team here on Sunday. So let's go ahead and move on to game number 2 that was started by Zach Gallen. Coming into this one, I didn't know what to expect. Like, Gallen has not been very well lately, but did we, ladies and gentlemen, did we get Cy Young caliber Zach Gallen in this one? 6 innings, no runs. Did not give up a single run. His first outing with no runs since July 20th. So just about a month. 99 pitches, 9 Ks. He still struggled with the walks, though. 4 walks, but 9 strikeouts. His curveball was working in this one for sure. His curveball was top tier. 12 whiffs, 8 non-hard hit balls. Only 2 of his pitches the entire game were hard hit, which I believe is over 95. That's huge for Gallen. Like, so phenomenal. Like, we need Gallen. We need Gallen to be. I don't think we need him to be Cy Young caliber. We need him to be a top 15 starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, though. Like, if he can give us what we had in this 6 innings, 9 Ks, like a short amount of hits, like, that's going to be huge. This was his first start. I know it was his first one in a month with no runs. It felt a whole lot longer than a month. I'm not like I was like, it had to be at least 2 months, but no, it was only 1 month. Are we think this is going to be a trend, and he's going to be the Cy Young caliber going forward? Or Gabe, do you think this was the exception, not the rule?
I'm hoping this is what we get out of him. I will say the walks are kind of a concern for me. He had 4 walks today, right? Or
Yes,
not today,
4.
yesterday. He had 4 walks. His command was a little spotty at times, but we didn't see, an actual blow up inning. Like, he did throw about, I believe, 25 pitches in that first. Like, he did labor a little bit in a couple of innings here and there, but he is an ace. And I know he struggled a lot throughout this year, and we've called Brandon Fott our ace, but he is still an ace. Even, when we get to Merrill as well, when these type of guys, they struggle in the first few innings or have one really bad inning, they can still come back and get you 6 innings. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's probably the most mind-blowing thing about this. When most teams or guys, like, most of their starters are out by the 4th or, the early part of the 5th, just because they threw too many pitches to begin with, and even when they settle down, they still struggle to, finish the game. And Gallen just kept pushing through it, kept going, kept getting his strikeouts, and just looked at times completely dominant. Just the only issue was, again, the walks. He had a little bit of issues with the command, and one of the walks was a clear strikeout in that corner that they just, counted as a ball. So umpire didn't help, but again, he didn't lose his composure, which we've seen him kind of do at times, just sort of like get a little, what's the word? Sort of like huff, was it huffy, or just kind of just do that a lot. Just, he clearly
very
gets to
body emotion,
Yeah,
like dramatic.
he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and you can tell when something's bothering him. He just looks at him. He just kind of makes like a face, just like seriously, like the whole time, and just is clearly bothered. And he had a couple of those, and then his body language looked good after that. Like, he just kind of just seemed to ask the umpire, "Was that too low? Was that too low? Too much? Too in?" Then he's like, "Okay." And he kind of just like shook it off and just grabbed some sweat, and then went on about his day and just looked fine. Like, the body language was key for him here. And we mentioned it before that I believe that he is fine physically. A lot of it, I think, maybe might be a mentality thing, mostly due to the hamstring issues. Like, I can understand. understand that if he doesn't want to land with his leg as hard as he normally does, because that's where you grab all your power from. Like it's the landing leg. So if he started to feel like the hamstring issues there, and maybe he's scared of, putting his full body force because he weighs what 215, 220, and he's a lanky guy. So you're putting 200 pounds of stress on that on the hamstring over and over and over again. Like I can see maybe why he's overthrowing it or underthrowing it just because he might be trying to be a little too ginger on that leg. But I just thought he looked fantastic. I hopefully this is a good sign again, just like with Kelly. They've been out for so long that coming back, like we can't expect him to be perfect right out of the gate. Like not even guys like Garrett Cole or Verlander. Like no, there's not. It's gonna be very, very rare for a guy to come back from an injury after not playing for 2 months and having him be a Cy Young candidate.
Yeah. And the fact that you brought it up, Garrett Cole, when he came back, like his first 2 or 3 outings weren't great either. Like it takes a while for these guys to adjust if they haven't been pitching in a while. And we know how cerebral Gallon is. So being out for the month there with that hamstring, it may have taken him a month to kind of bounce back, or maybe his hamstring didn't fully heal until a month, which we're at that point right now. So if we can get Gallon to do what he did on Saturday for his next 4 or 5 starts until the end of the season, along with how Ryan is pitching, how Fod is pitching, Erod has looked good in his 3 or 4 starts since he's been back as well. Like, and then this offense right now, like this might be the best baseball that they've played in the last 2 years, and I'm including last year's postseason. I think they're playing better than they did then. So, Brett, like, what did you notice from Gallon in this start that kind of has you feeling better with Gallon? Because I know the last month it was very hit or miss with him.
So I think one of the bigger keys is just watching the curveball. The curveball looked really good. He was keeping it low. Didn't seem like it hung. Didn't seem like he, got really wild with it. And I believe kind of like what Gabe said, it could be, generally maybe his hamstring was something that he was kind of trying to be a little bit lighter on. And then now it's like fully healed after the month, and he's good to go. But one of the things I noticed on the broadcast that they're talking about, and this could just be a random, maybe it's 2 things in one. It could be more of Gallon just being really solid. But on the broadcast, they ended up talking about how the home plate umpire has been behind the plate for 2 of Zach Gallon's starts in his career. One of them being the, I believe, complete game shutout in Chicago last year. And then the other one, I think he went like 7 innings. Might have been, again, I don't remember exactly what game. You can fact check me, but I believe it was like 6 or 7 innings of like 1 or 2 runs or just even less. Just really solid ball. So hearing that and then, kind of watching him deal, I don't know if it was maybe because the umpire a few times, just like every game to every pitcher, gives some calls here and there. Maybe he was just comfortable with the umpire, or just maybe he was, and I think, like I said, I think it was more of he was genuinely locked in. Little comfortable like that changeup right there was beautiful, or maybe that was a cutter. I can't remember exactly, but it just looked like all of his pitches were working. He wasn't having to favor one pitch. He wasn't having to go to, one distinct look that the opposing hitters could, lock in on. It seemed, like you have in the graphic and the title to it, he looked like the ace Zach Gallen, the guy that, even last year at times we were like, give him that Boris money, like, extend him. And we need him to be like Ethan said in the comments, we need him to be like Ryan. If we could even get Gallen to be close to Ryan, like you said, and then Erod coming back and being solid, this team and this offense, I wasn't old enough to fully watch the 01 team, but I'd say from like 2004, I had maybe even 3, I had full on memories of most of the teams on from then. This is, to me, one of the most complete teams from the Dbacks I've possibly ever seen. Like the pitching, and it's when everybody's on, when everybody's clicking. When Gallon's clicking especially, you add that with this bullpen, this offense and everything, this is, again, like I said, probably one of the best Dbacks teams we will ever see with how just everything is working. So if we can have Gallon actually be that ace, that would be huge for just carrying this team and continuing the momentum that they have now through the rest of the season, in the fight for the division, the wild card, and then even into the playoffs, to try to get back to a World Series and, this time complete the job.
Yeah, this team is better than last year's team, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback off what you're talking about, Brad, too, with the pitching and stuff. If you look at the stats, all three relievers went 6 innings against the Red Sox, and it combined for a total of 6 runs in between the three of them through 18 innings. And then the relievers altogether pitched 9 innings, and they allowed 2 runs, one off of Seawald, and then that BS home run that they hit off of Martinez.
J-Mart today. You want to call that a homer?
Jesus, that 319-foot bomb. Yeah, all right.
Well, I mean,
Jerry's was almost the same, so I would say neither.
No, so the thing with Jerry is at least he hit it high off the pole. Like it would have went further. Yeah. The other one was just snuck inside the pole. I'm like, that's not a homer.
But either way, yeah, it's just they showed, at least in this series, Boston is a good team. I don't want people to think that they're a bad team. They are a very good team. They're still over 500. They were competing for the wild card up until relatively recently. They have a lot of really good offensive guys. There's Devers and Duran. They have some guys who can hit the ball very far there. And just the fact that this pitching staff was able to just, kind of dampen them almost completely. Like I said, just a couple little hiccups. The main one was Merrill giving up that 3-run home run, and after that was it. There's no real damage from his side. It wasn't a bad pitch. He just got it off the end, just a really, really good swing, and just this is hopefully who we start to see from now on. Again, I'm not expecting everybody to be perfect every single time around, but if we're able to get 6 innings for most of our starters coming down the stretch, it's going to give a lot of rest of the bullpen. Because seriously, they pitched 9 innings in 3 games. That's truly not a lot. It was literally just clockwork, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and that was it. And if we're able to do that for the next few weeks, especially against the Dodgers and the Mets, we're going to be using a lot of bullets and all hands on deck. And I don't want it to be, we're getting to the end of the season and the bullpen is super taxed, and half of these guys are over 70 innings, and at least there's with the starters, having some innings in them is going to be good just because of how long they've been out. But yeah, we need Gallen to be the Cy Young candidate that he was. I know he struggled in the playoffs, but when he's on, I think that just stabilizes this rotation in a way. Paul Sewald, when he came in last year, just completely relaxes everybody, makes everyone feel all right, well, he did that yesterday, I'm going to do this today. And it seemed like for a while it was that sort of Gallen would pitch 7 innings, 2 runs, and Kelly would come up and I can do one better. Pitch 7 innings, 1 run, then Bob would come in 7 innings, no runs. It was just they're all matching each other, trying to outcompete each other, and this is who they are. They're all competitors. They all want to be an ace on this staff, but they know their plays, but they all want to be the ace. So if Gallen can show up and show them who the true ace is, then we could end up being 95 plus wins and the winners of the division.
Yeah, I think the one thing in this start from Gallen that I think we had not seen, it looked like he had really good command of his fastball. That was the one thing the last month that he had been struggling with, is he would spray it all over the place. His curveball and his changeup rely so much on his consistency with his fastball. If his fastball is where it needs to be, it just makes that curveball and changeup so much better. So I think that was the main big thing for Gallen in this start, is his fastball he was commanding it like he needs it to be. After the first inning, I'm like, oh, great. He's going to go 100 pitches through 4. The fact is that he made it through 6 innings with 100 pitches is huge after that really long first inning.
Yeah, and I think there was a quote by Casas at some point. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, so he said, so Casas said, and especially with 2 strikes, he was throwing a curveball that was starting as a ball, coming through the zone as a strike, and then ending as a ball. So when people talk about oh, well, why did they swing at that? That ball was in the dirt. Well, that's why. He's explaining that the ball it's outside the zone, it's way too high. Then suddenly, by the time it reaches the actual strike zone where they can swing at it, it's in the zone. So you're like, all right, so I got this. And then it just
And then
ends
it
up
drops.
falling completely out of the zone and it ends up in the dirt. So then they strike out. And so he continued saying it's tough to make a decision on which one to swing at, especially with two strikes, especially when he's ahead with strike one, especially when he's got runners on base. So they're giving him the credit that he deserves, just saying that like how nasty that curveball is, especially when we've mentioned it before. The fastball, once it plays off perfectly off of his fastball, then he is the ace that we know and love.
Yeah, like so good. It's just amazing. So,
Also, those
But
stats are updated in the document.
okay, yep, that's what I wanted to double check here. So, they somehow scored 2 runs in the 7th inning without hitting the ball in play. Like that boggles my mind. Like the 7th inning, they were so patient. They're like, okay, you're not going to give me something to hit. Next guy up, we'll see what he can do. But these offensive numbers for this team is outstanding. They're first in on base percentage, so basically they get on base more than anybody in Major League Baseball. They're second in average, fourth in walks, first in runs, first in sack bunts, which does not surprise me whatsoever. Tori loves it. There's a lot of guys that can get the job done. Herrera, Domo, Newman, I think Guy Ormo can do it as well. And then they're first in sack flies. Like, this is, to me, the most consistent this team has been offensively in what feels like a couple seasons. Because they would have these stretches where, like, they'd be good for, like, a week or two, and then they'd have a week or two where they look like they're a bottom 5 offense. The last 2 months, they've been consistent. Like, they are averaging, like, their average runs per game is, like, I think just over 5, which is outstanding. And the thing is, for the last 2 weeks, they've done this without Walker, Marte, and the last week, Moreno. Like, what they've done without those 3 in there is amazing. Gabe, what has stood out to you the last 2 months with this offense?
Probably the home run ball, and I know we've talked about how much reliance they've had on the home run ball, but I feel like they're just a lot of the times they're clicking on all cylinders. Like we've mentioned we've had certain guys who need the home run ball, and throughout the whole first half of the season, a lot of them just didn't have it. Like Gino, even to a certain extent Walker, Gurriel. Like we had quite a few guys who just weren't hitting the ball for a home run. And now we have guys like Gino who's reached over 20 home runs, I believe, on the season after he only had like 3 earlier, like in June or something. Same with
Yeah, he had
Corbin.
6
Like
in the first 80 games. And now he's at 20.
So now he's at 20. Like I said, once he started hitting some home runs, I was like, he has a chance to hit 30. And we're all like, oh man, it's gonna be crazy if he hits 30, if he hits over 25 home runs in the span of a couple of months. But he seems to be on that way. I mean, he seems to really, really like hitting in Boston as well. But same with Jock. Jock is just pulling balls out of the air and hitting them for home runs. Corbin as well. Jake is starting to hit the ball. Like I said, we lament sometimes the reliance on the home run ball, but what we've wanted to see out of this team was having them, forcing other teams to make mistakes, playing small ball, and that's what they did for most of this series up until Suarez put them away for good. Like that's mostly what they needed. They were there, and then just making the Red Sox make mistakes or running, scoring on sac flies, just moving the runners along, and then finally Gino would come in and just put a cork in it finally.
Yeah, Gino's been just on an absolute tear, and we're going to get more into it in Game 3. Brett, what has stood out to you with this offense over the last 2 months?
It's one of the things they kind of talk about in the broadcast most of the time is just that like next man up mentality. We're seeing it's every different day. Like we traded for Josh Bell. Josh Bell started doing it right away. We still get the normal contributions from the guys like Jock Peterson, Corbin Carroll, Jake McCarthy. The guys have been doing it all year. Luis Guillorme gets plugged in, and while he's not doing it, offensively in this game in game 2, my goodness, is
You mean this?
yes, the Superman play. Put it in the Lavore. I'm just gonna call it put it in the Lavolo, just because it's a better name for it anyway.
Put it in the Louvre.
Yeah, put it in the Louvre. There you go. It's just beautiful. Like it seems like there's a different guy every single day that is stepping up. If one of the normal guys like the Genos, the Jocks, the Corbins, and when he's healthy in the lineup and back, the Cattels. But it's just everybody's doing their job. I don't want to be all Bill Belichick about it out here, but every single person is out there doing their job. Like they're at the plate. Even Randall Grichuk, I would say, if you're going off of the automated strike zone, he might have gotten robbed on a strike 3. There could have been 5 walks in that inning. They could have had an extra run in there. And I think it's a big testament to not only, I think, again, we might have mentioned it once, but I know there was a lot of fans online that wanted Mather fired. It's like, oh, the offense is struggling, get him out of here, he's terrible. I think Joe Mather, like, there's a reason why they brought him in when after he left the Reds. Like, they wanted to bring him in because that Reds for years with Castellanos and Gino and all them, they took their walks, they hit their, they were a potent offensive team, and we're kind of seeing that, kind of translate to this offense where they're not being selfish. They're taking very selfless at bats. They're willing to get their walks. They're willing to, like Jake when he had that walk off, like. A lot of people, rookies or whatever, might be up there like, oh, I'm going to try to pull something. I'm going to try to, be the hero, make it look all flashy. No, like these guys are just going with it. If it's not there, they'll fight it off. If they can't fight it off, they'll make the pitcher work as hard as possible, and they'll just try to get on base any way possible. And I think that's one of the more impressive things that we've seen. It's nobody's trying to play hero ball. Nobody's trying to be the, kind of like even at times like we love Cattell, but there's times in the playoffs last year and whatnot where he would come up there in a big spot and swing it like 3 straight, like not even, I know we talk about like, oh, some pitchers are like, why would you swing at that? No, like straight up 3 pitches in the dirt where it's like, if you just waited a second, you would walk, like, please. And we're not seeing that much this year. Like, you guys are patient. They're willing to do what they need to get the team a win. They don't want to, if they go 0 for 2 with 3 walks and it helps the team win, cool. If they go 3 for 4 with 2 home runs, but the team loses, what's the point, And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that's kind of stood out to me from the entire roster, whether it's somebody that's called up to be on the team like Blaze at the beginning of the year before he sent down, just everybody, no matter what, it seems like they're just making some kind of impact.
Yeah, and you're talking about playing hero ball. And I think that was the big thing that really hurt them earlier in the season, which it was like they were playing hero ball. And I feel like to a certain extent, now that they're winning, we kind of have this collective amnesia about what this team looked like through those first couple of months. And you just have to go back and look at some of those at bats. Cattell was swinging for the fences. Moreno was swinging for the fences. Corbin was swinging for the fences. That's why he just kept popping up so much. Like, everybody was swinging for the fences because that's how they won throughout the playoffs. Like, they were just hitting bomb after bomb after bomb, and guys who aren't known for that or shouldn't be doing that, like Gabby hit a few home runs in the playoffs, and he changed his approach in the playoffs, and so it seemed like maybe they were all sort of still riding high off of hitting all those bombs, especially when they come back and they scored 14 runs on the Rockies. I guess they're all kind of buying into their own hype about how good they're swinging the bat, and then ended up hurting them. Like, it seemed like you're bringing up now, Brett, just next man up. If you're not going to give them any pitches to hit, then they'll take their walks. They weren't doing that early in the season. They were swinging for the fences. They were reaching out, especially we've talked about also like how horrible some of those swings that Gino was taking, and Gurriel too, just literally like falling into the other's batter's box, just swinging away, looking crazy out there. And they've shortened up their swings, and again, they're not striking out as much as they used to. Corbin is on, despite his struggles, is on record pace for walks and strikeouts. His record's best, I guess. Same with a few other guys. And Gino, I mean, he's looking better than he did in Seattle. He's probably going to be, despite all of his issues, he's probably going to have a year like he did in 19 or 18 with the Reds, where he hit 30 bombs and was around an 800 OPS. Again, despite the issues that he had early on, this team is clicking all at the same time, and you're seeing it now. Like a lot of that hard work eventually pays off. It just takes a really, really long time, and you need a key guys to come back, and they're doing it without their MVP and Walker, who was on pace to get well over 100 RBI. Gabby, same thing too. He's going to be around 70. Cattell and Walker just we've needed them, and right now I think this might be one of those things where they're getting forged in fire. They're missing all these key guys, and so certain guys are getting at bats that they normally wouldn't have in big situations. And Sam Cattell, hopefully, when he comes back on fire. He isn't, swinging away like he was early in the season, because, like even that game winner against Philadelphia, bases loaded, he had the same situation like an inning or two before, and just swing at 3 balls in the dirt. Then he comes up the second time and he gets the single. Like they've shown this incredible ability to adjust in the last few months. Just you're not getting any pitches to hit home runs on. Okay, fine. We're just gonna take our walks and then start to walk and single you to death until somebody hits a big bomb.
Yeah, so one of the things that might be a big key, because somebody that's been consistent all year with especially the patience and taking their walks, is Jock. Jock's a big power guy. It's like the complete opposite of Gino. Like he's gonna hit homers, but he's not taking super wild swings even against lefties. And I feel like it's a little bit of that little brother kind of following the bigger brother.
He had one.
He
had the one yesterday.
Okay, even against a lefty, he'll still have some tough swings. But again, he's not here to hit lefties. To where Gino, whether it's a righty or a lefty, there's some times where even some of the other big power guys, Cattell, like we've talked about before, will take some big healthy hacks, and it's not the best swing to take in the scenario. Where Jock will go up there and he's like, dude, like I'm looking for one pitch. I'm like, if I don't get it, I'm not going to swing. Like I'll take my walk. I don't care. And I think that's definitely rubbed off over like him and Perdomo. I think it's kind of just been, you got the veteran and you got the young guy. You got the veteran leader and then the young leader that's been there, for only 2 years. And both of them, it's like a little sandwich. They're slowly but surely just kind of coming in on the rest of the team and just getting every single person to just play selfless baseball.
Yeah. Jock's patience at the plate is why his OPS is over 900. Yes, he's
career year.
Like, yeah, there's no way they can afford him for next year, and I'm fine with it because we got ADC. Like, I would be completely okay with ADC as our main time DH and our backup catcher to Gabby. Like, I think they lightning in a bottle with Jock. All that power and the 900 OPS. Shout out here to Justin. Yes, a massive homestand coming up this week. Everybody try to, if you can, you need to show out to the ballpark. We need to show up these Mets and Dodger fans. Show them that this is our stadium, especially over the weekend with the Dodgers.
I just want to say the Jock contract, I believe, is a mutual option for next year too. So if he wants to come back, which he might do it, because I believe he's still going to get something like $12 million if he opts in. So it's not like he's going to be losing any money.
Yeah, the way he's hitting right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he feels like he can get more on the open market. Like he might decline it to see if he can get more, because the way he's hitting, he deserves to get more than 12. Like it closer to 20, in my opinion, the way he's been playing. And I'm wondering if he'll go to a team that is kind of doing the same thing the Dbacks did. Platoon DH, he only faces righties. Because it truly feels like he just has more energy because he doesn't have to worry about playing every day. Like, yeah, he still goes on stretches where he might play 5 games in a week, but that's because they face all righties. Like, Torrey's going to put him in against righties. Like, Jock knows, right-hander on the mound, I'm in. Like, he doesn't have to worry about that. I think that's the second week of September. So that'll be a very big series too, because Brewers are near the top in terms of record in the National League as well. So moving on to game 3, sweep Caroline. So we ended up completing it. We got the job done, the sweep. Merrill started this game. early on looked like he was struggling for sure. Um, keep in mind, this is his third start after missing what 2.5, 3 months. So yeah, he's gonna have probably outings here that he doesn't look the best, but his line he finished was pretty decent. 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks, and both of the home runs that he gave up, they were monster shots by Tristan Casas and Rafael Devers, two really good hitters. So it's not like he gave up bombs to like a bunch of nobodies, like two very good baseball players. And the one thing from this outing that I picked up, his fastball velocity was back up. His average was 90.8. So that made me feel a lot better, but he got hit hard. He had 13 hard hit balls in this outing. So that I wouldn't say it's a cause for concern because it's not something that he typically does. But definitely something that we're going to want to keep our eyes on here going forward. So, Gabe, what do you want to see him work on over the next month or so here till the end of the season?
With Mero, I guess it would just be being consistently in the zone. Like 3 walks isn't the Mero that we know and love. Like that's kind of one of the main things that made him stand out was just how, despite not having that much speed, the fact that he was consistently going 6 innings and getting 10 strikeouts, and you're like, how did this guy who's throwing 91 getting so many strikeouts? But it's just how sharp he is, how he's able to put the ball anywhere he wants. Like you would see it over and over again, just wherever the catcher set up, he would place the ball there, no matter what pitch it was, whether it was his changeup, his slider, whatever. It would always end up where the catcher was positioned. And even in this one, like they probably wanted it a little bit higher than it actually was. But that's the thing with me. I think it's maybe just working on the location, making sure you're not walking as guys, because when you walk guys, you can get into trouble really easily because instead of a solo home run, you're suddenly talking about 2 or 3 run home runs just because of how many guys you can walk at once. So that's the main thing with me is just working on the location, getting it down, making sure that if you're getting up home runs, try to make him solo home runs. Same way Brandon Pott has been. Just if they're gonna hurt you, let them hurt you for one because you can get the other one back with the way this offense is.
So yeah, like it was a decent outing by Kelly. Like had he been pitching all season and he had an outing like this, I would definitely be worried. But he missed 2.5, 3 months. It's his third start back. Yeah, he's gonna have a not so great outing every now and then, but I feel like he did settle in. The fact that he went 6 innings, I think, is huge. Gabe, you talked about it. Each of the 3 starters went at least 6 innings, so that really saved the bullpen. Like, just like that's gonna be a huge thing going forward. Is if these starters can go 6, maybe even 7 innings, it's gonna save that rest with the bullpen come like the last 2 weeks of September and going in to the playoffs. But Brett, what do you want to see the mainstay work on going forward?
I think, I mean, I know it's still a little small sample size. I think the walks are a big thing, like Gabe said. It's not the mainstay we're used to. And then the home runs. It seems maybe a little bit uncharacteristic. I know it's not like they were terrible pitches. The one to Cassis, a little bit more of a meatball than you might want. Obviously, 91. Actually, that's pretty much 91 on a tee. But the one to Rafi, like it's Rafael Devers is a good hitter. Like you can't really be mad about that one. It's still same. I believe 91 on the black outside of the plate. It just sometimes you get beat. But I want to see him kind of dial it in a little bit, keep the velocity up, keep it in the zone a little bit more because when he's in the zone, that's what makes him so nasty. That's what gets the where we see the Merrill go 6-7 innings with 1 or even less runs with 7+ strikeouts is when he's consistently, around the zone, kind of like what we saw with Gallon in game 2. Like, yes, even Gallon walked 4 people and he wasn't fully solid, but there were some times and some pitches where even he looked a little bit more locked in and, on the edges, kind of like how Ryan's been, kind of like how we've even seen from Fod at times. But again, it's still early in his return from IL. I think it's still going to be a little bit to build up that stamina. It was a good sign to see him at least go 100 pitches. I know that Bob and Steve mentioned that on the post game, that he did recover. Even Bryce brought it up in the YouTube comments here that his start today reminds him of a Brandon Pfaadt start, where that's very true. Where he kind of gets the home run bug, kind of bites him. Might have a little bit of a blow up here and there, but still limits the damage. He had a beautiful double play to Rafael Devers where it was basically a fastball down the middle that he got out of the jam with. So it's still some good signs. I just want to see, like I said before, keep it a little bit more in the zone and keep the walks down. But other than that, I can't really be too mad about what we saw from Merrill. This just seems kind of a normal Merrill offense. Sometimes, we see him, it happens against the Dodgers. The Red Sox still have a good offense, like you're saying, Brandon. They're still really good hitters. Other than the guy that needed a tennis racket this weekend with the Ofer and 5Ks. So I think that it's not really too much to complain about Merrill, just a little bit of tweaking that I think that we'd like to see from the rest of the season. But still, if we can get 6 innings of 3 runs or less the rest of the way, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. Just if we can get Merrill 6 innings, maybe 5 hits, 2 earned, 5 Ks, for me, that's enough. Just typical Merrill stuff. Just the amount of starts that he has in a row where he's gone at least 5. I don't know if he's still tied with Mitch Keller or if he's first now. I haven't looked at Mitch Keller over the last month or so if he's gone 5 in all of his starts. But moving on to the one man that we were wrong so much. I'm so glad that this team did not listen to the fan base and designate for assignment Eugenio Suarez. Because, dear Lord, this man since June 1st is on an absolute tear. This grand slam that he hit on Friday that literally blew the game open. Yes, it barely gets out, but it still counts, ladies and gentlemen. He then had a big 2-run RBI double in Saturday where it literally bounces off the wall. Just to think, he might have another homer if that's any other stadium. And then he had the major clincher 3-run home run here on Sunday that he hits the light tower. So he had light tower power in that home run. So add that up. That's 9 RBI in the series. Gino is on an I don't need to me it boggles my mind that as of June 30th he had 6 home runs. That's it. He had 6. So I was like, maybe he gets 15 if he gets on a tear. No. The man has had 13 in the 46 games since June 1st. June 1st, his OPS is 956. What? Gabe brought it up. Could he hit 30? I think if he continues on the trend he's been doing, he will hit 30. I don't doubt Gino can get to 30. And he has his season average to 239. What? He was hitting below 200 for the longest time this season.
Corbin's been good, and I believe Gino had a worse batting average than Corbin at the time, and he's still that much better. It's kind of crazy how we talked before about how good Corbin is, but Gino's just been that much better. It's genuinely baffling.
Yeah. So what's crazy? So from the start of the season to June 30th, 79 games, he had 54 hits. Since June 1st, 46 games, 51 hits. So in 30 less games, pretty much the same number. And the thing is, it's not just he's hitting homers. He's hitting doubles too. He has 15 doubles since July 1st. He's on it an absolute tear right now. I can't find the words. Gabe, you brought it up. You feel like he can get 30. I think if he continues on the trend he's been doing, 30 is definitely possible. Did you think if there was any way that after what we saw the first 3 months or so, that Gino would hit 20 homers?
I I kept hoping that he would turn it around just because I know he always turns things around, in the second half of the season. But like I mentioned before, my issue with him was just the strikeouts, not barreling balls. Like if you look at all the advanced stats, it was like there's nothing here that tells me he's going to improve. Like there was no like the hard hit rate was super low, no barrel rates. The chase was horrible. Like I said or mentioned earlier, he's swinging at pitches that ended up in the other batter's box like over and over and over again. He's grounding to double plays and over again. He just showed no signs of improving. And then, what would you say, June 1st, right? June 1st or July
July.
1st? July 1st,
July.
literally, as soon as July 1st hit, suddenly he became Barry Bonds, and you're like, oh, okay, like I guess this is who he is now. And he's just been. It's not just that he hits home runs. He's not like Aaron Judge. When they're up by 10 runs and he'll hit a home run. Like he'll hit a home run in the most key points in the game, and he'll get the RBIs and runs across to either put teams away or to get the lead or to get them closer. And also, a quick correction, Brandon, you said 9 RBI. He had 10 RBI.
Oh,
He actually
sorry.
drove in Gurriel with that one. So he had 10 RBI
My
in
bad.
3 games. I'm like, he damn near won this series by himself with the amount of runs that he scored. It's just he has been very, very clutch, and just something that we wanted to see out of him. But we also, when we mentioned about DFA and him or moving on from him, we did mention mostly to bring up not Castillo, what's his name? Davison.
Santos.
That's
Yeah.
the main, that was our main contention, was bring up Davison, let him hit for a couple of weeks while Suarez figures out whatever this is. Like we talked about, maybe a Phantom IL stand, like just to get him right, because we mentioned it. And you can go back and listen to a lot of these episodes before where we mentioned like we not only do we want him to be good, but it's just we don't want him to be good for another team, because we felt that if we let him go, he's going to turn it on and suddenly he's going to be amazing for another team. That's what we didn't want. And so we're like, maybe just bring up somebody else in the meantime while he figures out what's going on. And since he's turned it on, I mean, I still want him to be a Saint. I mean,
yeah, Oscar's your
yeah,
biggest
but
troll.
It sounds like he's
But-
read your diary and exposed your
Yeah.
deepest darkest truths.
But- I think who mentioned in the comments here? Someone's talking about the Bryce talking about like he played for the Red Sox, that he probably would be in the MVP discussion all the time just because of how his swing is almost tailor made for Boston, just because of how high he can launch the ball like that. And it's just luckily we kept him and we let him figure it out. And yeah, sure, it was hard and it sucked and he cost us a lot of games, but he's winning us a lot of games now. And when all said and done, he's probably going to be in the positive in terms of like, I know he's going to be in the positive of WAR, but same with the NBA where they have the plus and minus. He is going to be well over plus what he was early in the season.
Bryce, even before he went on his tear, we won this trade because we gave up nothing. We literally gave up nothing.
So one of the funny things too, especially I mentioned it. I don't know if I sent it in the group chat, but I mentioned it in one of the Discords we're in. I think it was actually our Discord too. The Mariners traded Eugenio Suarez to us to get rid of their strikeout problem. Like they got rid of Eugenio Suarez because they had too many strikeouts. Not enough, offensive production with runners in scoring position, all that yada yada. Traded him to us. Well, the Mariners are first in all of Major League Baseball in strikeouts, and not even by like a bunch, or not even by like a little. They're ahead of the Rockies, I believe, by like at least 50 or 60, and I think the third place team is, because I think the Mariners are like over 1,300. The Rockies are just underneath them, still in the 1,300s, but I think it's like 1,380 to like 1,330, something like that. And then the next is like, at third place is like 1,270, 1,260. They're striking out way more than they probably even hoped. And we still, like, they're not getting production from, Rojas, Arizona legend, love him. Not trying to, I want them to do good. But looking at just what the Mariners are getting from the trade that they got, and what we're getting from Eugenio Suarez now, he's almost in the +2 WAR area.
Yeah, 1.9.
Mike Hazen, this entire season, the free agency, the guys he's picked up off waivers, throughout the season, and like the trades. My God, he is just a 5-star gourmet chef out here just cooking nonstop, 12-course meals. It's insane what he's doing.
Yeah,
they gotta
Mike
get
Hazen.
rid of Jerry Dipoto. They gotta get
Yeah.
rid of Jerry Dipoto in Seattle. I mean, they fired Scott Service, and he wasn't the problem. It's your GM who's getting Randy Rosarino, who's batting 215, and who's now batting .095 or whatever. They got to get rid of him first before they get rid of anybody else. Or just keep letting us fleece him.
Yeah, just let us trade for him. We'll take Eugenio Suarez, or we'll take Julio Rodriguez in a year or two, and then we'll take Munoz, their closer. It's fine. We'll give them, a couple kegs of Four Peaks beer. That's fun.
Yeah.
Just send the whole starting staff. We will be fine with the whole starting staff here too.
We'll take Logan Gilbert. Yeah, sure. Why not? So this was a 9-game road trip. Very long road trip. A very William Hill. Oh my gosh. We started 0-3 on this road trip, and I'm like, oh, this is not a great start. We finished 6-3, back-to-back sweeps. After we lost those first 3, I'm like, we probably lost our shot at the division. We somehow are now, I think, a game and a half over the Padres for that first wild card now.
Padres won today, so I think it's still just 1 game.
Okay, all right. So still 1 game.
Which, my God, what devil magic is the entire NL West running with the last 2 months, dude?
Right?
What is this?
It's so crazy. We did gain a game on the Dodgers in this series. We're now at 3 games. 3 games. We have a huge homestand coming up. We got 3 against the Mets starting on Tuesday. And then we have a 4-game against the Dodgers over Labor Day weekend. So if we can stay within that 3, by the time that Dodgers series starts, who knows what will be like basically at this time next week. It is, Jackson Merrill is on an absolute tear. He is your NL Rookie of the Year. I get Paul Skeens is great, but what Jackson Merrill is doing is
he's literally carried while Fernando Tatis has been out.
Yeah.
We can't be haters. Game's got to respect game. He's doing some shit that if Corbin Carroll was doing, if the D-backs were in the same position, so the Padres are doing right now, and Corbin Carroll was doing what Jackson Merrill was doing back then, we'd be rioting if he lost it to a pitcher that came up halfway through the season.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about that Mets series first. So it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday series. And the Mets just were this close to taking 3 of 4 from the Padres. So I wouldn't overlook and say, oh, the Mets, it's not a big deal. The Mets put Francisco Lindor in the leadoff position 2.5 months ago, and they've been on a run. They've been on an absolute run of lately. It's crazy. He's probably 3rd in the MVP vote right now, behind Ohtani and Ketel Marte. What he's done for his team to put them in a spot, because right now I believe they're the 3rd wild card. No, sorry. They're just on the outside looking in. They're 2.5 back of the Braves. So I definitely would not overlook the Mets here. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's gonna be it's really gonna be on pitching matchups. So Tuesday we got Sean Manaea versus Eduardo Rodriguez. Wednesday we got Luis Severino versus Brandon Pfaadt, and Thursday we got TBD versus Ryan Nelson. So I'm going to be like a broken record. I'm saying this every stream. Win the series, whether that's a sweep or taking 2 or 3, because we've seen what this team has done outside of the Tampa series, they've either tied or won the series over the last 2.5 months. And they're at, 18 games over 500 now, I believe? Or is it 7? Because I know it was 17. Sorry, no, 19. Wow, we're 19 games over 500 right now. I don't think we were ever that. Were we ever that much last season? Or
I saw a stat. I believe it was from Snake Pit. I could be mistaken. I'm most positive it was Snake Pit. This is the best start through this many games in Dbacks franchise history, or at least in 22 years. Sorry, 22 years. So
yeah,
maybe 2002.
It feels like eons ago that we were 7 games under. Like we're now, and it's only going to get higher. Because like Gabe said, like it's entirely possible that we finish with 95 plus wins. It is possible. Like
I saw something online. Apparently, this is one of the first seasons since like the 50s where no team is projected to reach 100 wins.
100 wins, yeah. I think
Which
I saw
kind of insane. It's nice where I know people will bitch about the wild card thing, will bitch about all this. I'm not gonna lie, it does feel like it's evened. Like there's not these like the White Sox are the White Sox. They're 31 and like 100. Like they're an outlier. But I don't feel like there's these big gaps between these teams that in May are giving up, and then these teams that are on pace for 115 wins and they just got to cruise to a division title like we've seen in the past. Like it's genuinely nice to have a little bit more reason for these teams to compete, whether people want to complain about owners spending more money or not. Like I know we've done it before. It's nice. This is one of the reasons why we're seeing it. Like we're seeing it now because of, and same with the schedule changes. We don't have to face the Dodgers and the Padres and all these other teams as much, to where these games where when we face each other, it means even more because we're interdivisional, but we haven't seen each other as much as we would with the 6 or 7 extra games that we faced each team.
So Oscar brings up a solid point. We had 86 wins last year. We're only 11 from that. Like, so we're definitely gonna pass it. But
yeah, I think the magic number for the NL is 90 games. I think. Yeah,
okay.
It's 90 games. If you're able to win 90 games, I think that's sort of the lower end, I'll say, because I think the wild card teams are going to be anywhere from 89 to 95 wins. Just because if the D-backs knock off the Dodgers aren't going to win 89 games. They're still going to win 92, 93 games. So same with the Padres, they're still going to win over 90 games. The Braves are still also going to win around 90 games. So I think the bottom, the worst record they can get and make the playoffs, I think, is 90 games. And so they should strive for that, although I think they should strive to win the division first and foremost. Yes. But I think for the most part, 90 wins. This isn't going to be a year where they win 84 games and they sneak into the playoffs. Like there's more parity in this league that there has been, where there's truly not too many legitimately bad teams to where everyone's still competing. So it's still going to be a slug, a slugging match, up until the end of the season. But yeah, same with the Mets. The Mets, they once they turn to the game Mets, they turn it on as well. They're just a couple games behind us. Like they're still a threat. And I know we're making jokes about Lindor, being the MVP just because that's what the media is pushing right now, that he is the MVP front runner because he hit a home run yesterday. So, but he's been clutch for them. The rest of the team, they're clicking on all cylinders. So don't be surprised if they're able to take the series away. Although I think, especially when you look at these head-to-head matchups, at least in pitching-wise, they're very similar. So I think it's all going to come down to who has a better bullpen. And today, Edwin Diaz completely fell apart and gave up the home run to Merrill so they could win. But I think it's going to come down to the bullpens. And both Diaz, they also both gave up the not just the game winner, but they were tied 2-2. So they both.
No, the Reds were up. The Reds were up 3-2. The Reds were winning. No, he had an actual save opportunity.
Oh, did he?
When Yasmani Grandal hit a walk-off? Yeah, he had the 2-run walk-off.
Oh, okay.
That group chat has got to be the mom just like, no, don't worry, I love you boys. You're still, you're still my number one in my heart. Don't worry.
Yeah, but just don't discount the Mets. I still think they're going to win the series. Like I said, just because I feel playing at home and everything. Um, watch out for that. The Dodgers are playing against the Orioles, and the Orioles have been scuffling a little bit, but so have the Dodgers. So this is, I think, we're probably at the most important stretch of 7 games that we're going to have until the last one against the Padres, because depending how these things go, the D-backs will either be, you know, buried into the wild card conversation instead of division, or the Dodgers can end up being, come Tuesday, the Dodgers could be even in second place in the wild card. Like, this is how important the series is going to be for us, for the Padres, and for the Dodgers. So it's very, very exciting. I'm happy to see us in the fight this late. Like, I did mention it during that Oakland series about this could happen, and now we're finally seeing the possibility of it truly happening, where the Dodgers can choke away this 11-game lead away, and I'm excited for it. I'm here for it, and just mostly because I honestly, not just for bragging rights, but I want that buy. Like, I want them to be able to set themselves up for success, because last year, by the time they got to the World Series, they're burnt out. I felt like all of them were burnt out, especially the offense. You could tell they were not being as patient. They weren't swinging as hard. I could tell that they were tired, which they had to play a whole bunch of extra games. And I would rather have them be able to rest guys like Cattell, like Gabby, like Gurriel, Corbin, Gino. Give all of these guys a little bit of rest coming into the end of the season, where they're not playing every single day, and then hopefully they can keep winning into the playoffs and keep themselves ready for it, because it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah. So if we take a look at our current winning percentage, if we continue that trend, we're looking at 17 more wins right now. So that puts us at like 92. So I think that's enough for the wild card. I don't know if it's enough for the division, but we would still make the playoffs. We're only 1.5 games behind the Phillies, by the way, which is crazy to me because everyone's like in June, oh, Phillies are headed to the World Series. Phillies have been like the worst team in baseball since the All-Star break. I think they might be one of the worst in the National League for sure. They're not as bad as the White Sox. But yeah. Brett, any parting thoughts for the pod today?
Yeah, say, like Yeb said, this will be a tough series. The Mets, their fans really travel well. I think it's the 7 line, or maybe it's a different fan base. I thought it was a 7 line. Maybe whatever the fan group is. I've been to Mets games before where they always take over right field. So there's gonna be a lot of Mets fans. Me and I think Gabe, you're going on Wednesday. I don't know, Brandon, if you're gonna be going as well. But me and my buddy Kendall, we're gonna be there. He's a Dodger fan, so we're going to be rooting against the Mets, and then we're also going to the Friday Dodgers game, it sounds like. So, sadly going to be bringing an enemy into our home base, but it's okay. I'll make sure I out yell him if I can. But yeah, just try to win the series. Like, it's going to be tough. We're going to be facing Manaea Severino, and I think it was to be decided, to be announced. But I mean, Severino's nasty. I'm confident with the way this team has been. Like, we've been facing some good pitchers. Even like we faced the Red Sox, like best 3. I know Bayo's wasn't having the best year, but Houck is still really nasty, and they were able to put some runs on him. I want to see again, at least win the series. Like you said, the Orioles are scuffling. They'll be facing the Dodgers, but it's still going to be a tough matchup. This could be really clutch to gain even another game. Every extra game earned makes that 4-game series even more important, because if you're either game up, tied, or game behind the Dodgers, that 4-game series, if you lose it, it sucks, but you're still in the race. If you're 3 games out and you lose it, then you kind of have to focus on the wild card. So this could be a really important 3-game series coming up against the Mets, where they're going to be feisty. They're still trying to fight for a spot in the wild card. Like, their season's not fully over yet. But I'm confident that the boys can try to continue the new streak of winning series.
Yeah, let's just start a new one. Let's go win 7 in a row or whatever. But I think based on pitching matchups, I think it's very possible we take 2 or 3. Gabe, any last thoughts?
Just like you said, just win the series. We're supposed to be getting back our reinforcements like Walker and Cattell coming up for the Dodger series, and
Yeah.
this I know Cattell's missed a bit of time, but Otani, I mean, I know he's reached his 40-40 and he's been going up, but he's also been taking a lot of overs and 1-for-4s, and he's just hitting a ton of home runs. But if Cattell's able to show up for this Dodger series and show out, then I think he can place himself firmly back into a top 2 or even top 1 in the MVP discussion, because they are still very, very close. So Cattell, if you're back, show them what you got, and hopefully this pitching staff can handle Shohei, which they have been able to do too. So if they give him a couple of overs throughout the series, again, you're not just talking about the division, but you're also talking about Cattell potentially being a front runner for the MVP again.
Yeah. So just win the series. If you're checking us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to join our community here at Dbacks Dispatch, we have a Discord in the description of the video. Make sure to check out our link tree for all of our other socials out there. Make sure to check out azsnakepick.com. They produce a lot of good articles there about the D-backs. We will see y'all next time. I gotta find this. Where'd it go? See y'all next time.
It's the Dbacks Dispatch. Let's go. Yeah, bring Red Gate, Josh on the floor. West Coast vibes, catch us on the air. Home run dogs, diamond gems we share. Brandon was a stat, Caesar man was a plan. Red brace it down, tells it like it is, man. Gabs on fire, brings the heat every time. Josh on the mix, keep the beat so prime. Ain't got that insight, 7 weeks ahead. Tune in, Dbacks Dispatch, this is it. Now we rollin'. D-Backs, Dispatch, yeah. Talk to Brandon, Brandon Gay, this is Big Kench. Josh on the mix, he make the beats. West Coast vibe, got the G fucking the band. The home Mac, the home Mac, the home Mac, home Mac. D-Backs Dispatch, we here to stay. Yeah, catch us every week, we bring the flavor to it. We got the home Mac, the home Mac, the home Mac, home Mac. D-Backs Dispatch, we here to stay. Catch us every week, we bring the flavor to it.